New lesson today. Things are a little bit different. We had a faculty meeting this morning, so I had to be in the library, and that means I didn't get the answers to the homework done. I usually do them during extra help in the morning. So, sorry, didn't get it done. We won't be going over the homework today. If you still have questions about it, you can bring it in on Monday, all right? As far as today's quiz goes, I was generally impressed. I thought it could have been a lot uglier. God bless.
Bless you.
Okay. So let's go through each of the choices on today's quiz, or each of the questions. These are very important questions because you have a test coming up Wednesday of next week. And the quiz questions are a lot like some of the test questions. Now let me explain a little bit about my tests and how they work. If you have any older brothers or sisters who've ever had me as a teacher, they can tell you this. Today we're going to do a lesson on what we call refining understanding. In other words, we're going to not teach anything new. We're just going to make sure we really truly understand what we think we understand. We'll do that today, we'll do that tomorrow. On Monday, you're going to get a pretest. The pretest looks exactly like the test with the numbers changed. You know how the quizzes look identical with the numbers changed?
Yeah.
The test will look identical with the numbers changed. There will be a pretest on Monday. There will be a pretest on Tuesday. Now, there is a chance I will not be in school on Wednesday next week, which means probably my son would be in here subbing, and you would take the test without me in the room. So I'm going to have extra help both Monday and Tuesday next week. That way, if I'm not here on Wednesday, it's not a big deal. And you get that extra help session in. Now, between the 3 quizzes that you have today, that will be 4 questions like what's on the test, plus the refining understanding, plus the pretest on Monday and Tuesday. You will have been given 6 opportunities to get a really strong feel for the kinds of questions that you're going to see on your exam next Wednesday. So if you're really locked in on what we do in class over the next few days, you will do well on your test. The problem is, sometimes I see kids, like for instance, if you missed number 1 on the quiz, that's not a good sign. Yesterday I stood up in front of the whole class and I said, what I expected you to be able to do was recognize a quadratic function, an exponential function, a linear function. And question 1 said, which of these is exponential? And some kids missed it. That's not good. Number 2, there will be a question on the test like that. We've done that how many times? Okay? So, also number 4, we've done every day on homework for the past 4 or 5 nights. And we did it a day during class, and it's been on the do-its. So, if you see something emphasized, it will be on the test. Anthony, did you have a question, buddy?
Oh yeah, what about number? Oh yeah.
I'm going to do all 4 of them right now. Okay? So, number 1, everybody, which graph is exponential? D. You need to remember what a quadratic looks like, what a linear function looks like, and what an exponential function looks like. Spencer, can you kill the lights, please? Okay. So, let me just remind you of what the graphs look like. Ready? Now, this guy, linear. Linear because it makes a straight line. Another way to recognize a linear function is it's y equals mx plus b in that form. It doesn't have to be exactly like that, but the bottom line is the exponent on the x is 1. Now, this or this is a quadratic. And a quadratic means somewhere in the problem, the highest exponent is squared. Okay? And then, exponential looks like that. And an exponential function is recognized by the variable x is in the exponent place. Okay? So that should be, look, to me, we do some really hard stuff in this class during the year. Very rarely can I say to you, hey, recognize it. Just take a look, which one is it? To me, those are like by far the easiest questions we get all year long. Okay? So make sure you know linear from quadratic from exponential. Now, kids will say all the time, what good is algebra going to do me? What good is the Pythagorean theorem going to do me? What good is geometry going to do me? I'm going to tell you right now what the good is. The good is that you are a human being, that you are going to make mistakes. I make them, you make them. Get over yourself if you think you don't make them, you do. Now the question is this, and this is what school teaches, it's so important. What are you going to do about it? Are you just going to say, oh well? Or are you going to go home and dedicate some time to realizing that there's something you need to be better at, and then work on it, make sure you improve, and then when you come in tomorrow, you get the question right. That's why I say to you guys, I don't care what you get on the first quiz. You get a 0. Doesn't make a difference to me. I'm looking at tomorrow's. You get a 0 today, you come in tomorrow, you get a 75, I'm going, man, that kid's doing a good job. You get a 25 today, you get a 75 tomorrow, and 100 on Monday, I go, now this is a kid who gets it. This is a kid who can learn. This is a kid who's going to be really successful. That's what we're looking at. If you can get 100 right away, God bless you. You're a rare kid. Most kids don't do that. Okay? Time after time after time. Everybody does it once in a while. Okay? All right, number 2. I was very happy to see that I think just about every person in the class got this right. I think one person might have gotten it wrong, maybe 2. And I know for a fact that on the one person who got it wrong, this is what they did. H of t equals, so this is good. We're dealing with the height at any time t. I saw negative 16t squared. And then I saw 50t, and then I saw 44. It looked great. One kid forgot the t. That's a very human mistake. Okay? Just, you know, when you go to hand it back in next time, when you go to hand your test in, just take a peek and say, did I put the t there? Did I put the t squared there? All right, here's an example. I want to show you. Anthony, I'm going to use you an example in front of the whole class, if you don't mind. Anthony he took the quiz last week when we had a question like this. And this is what Anthony wrote as his answer. Now, is it pretty obvious to you that even though he got that wrong, he had a pretty good idea of what he was doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did he do wrong? Everybody.
Choosing the exponent.
Put the t in the exponent. Is that a very human mistake?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, guess what Anthony did on the next quiz? And Anthony got 100. Okay? That's learning. This means, hey, I got an idea what I'm doing, but I'm a human being, and sometimes I don't have a perfect idea. And then the next time it's like, oh, no, now I got it. That's what we're looking for. Anthony, did you have a question, buddy?
No.
Okay. Now, number 3. Oh, are you going to love me? I'm telling you, you're going to love me in a minute. And in fact, you're going to love me so much that I'm going to make you say I love you. Okay? Now, here's how this goes. Let me show you the old-fashioned way. How many people take one look at me and say, if anybody in this building, I am now officially the oldest person in this building.
What?
I am.
That's awesome.
It is. It's a blessing and a curse, Spencer. How many people take one look at me and the lack of hair? And the platinum in the goatee? And the ear hairs starting to pop out that I have to make sure I keep trimmed in the morning, since we're getting personal. How many people take one look at me and go, if there's one person in this school who would know the old-fashioned way to do something, it's that bald math teacher of mine. How many people just know that that's how things are done around here? All right. I'm going to show you the old way, the way old farts like me used to do it. And then I'm going to show you the way the young and improved of America can do this. Now, on the next question, number 3, which is the one that gave people fits, we talked about rate of change. Now, what's a better way to say rate of change, or an older way to say rate of change? Everybody? Slope. Good. And the slope formula is, there's lots of ways. I could say change in y over change in x. I could say rise over run. The way I probably see most people know it is this way.
Yeah.
Right? The y from the second point minus the
Yes.
y from the first point over the x from the second minus the x from the first.
The way way I do it is that I go from the beginning point of y to the end point of y, and then from the beginning point of x to the end point of x.
Awesome. They're all the same ways of saying it. Now, we have to figure out what's the beginning point, what's the end point. So it said in this problem that there was an interval from 0 to 2, and it said that it was y equals 3 to the x. So, in other words, if the first x is 0 and the second x is 2, let me figure out the y value. So if I plug in a 0, what's 3 to the 0? Everybody? 1. And if I plug in a 2, what's 3 squared? 9. So now I'm going to go use this formula. This will be like my second point, and this will be like my first point. The y from the second point is 9, minus the y from the first point is 1, over the x from the second point is 2, minus the x from the first point, which is 0. That gives me 8 over 2, which is 4, or 4 over 1.
Okay.
Now, quick.
The only confusing part that I had was that it only showed 0, 2, which meant
It kind of looks like a coordinate, right?
the y was 2, but the x is 0.
All right.
That didn't make any sense.
Hold
to
on,
me.
hold on. Let me show you a way to make real sense. Hold on. I'm going to show you this, and I think it's going to make everybody in the room happy. Get out the
Of
calculator.
course.
Calculator.
Yes, be a calculaholic.
Of course. Now I just figure it out.
Yes.
See, those two brackets are not just x and y.
It's the interval.
Yeah, they're both x's.
That's exactly right. This, Anthony, is what we call learning. Now, ready? Go to y equals. Type in 3 to the x. Remember how you use that up arrow caret symbol? Y equals 3 up arrow x.
Wait, all of mine have numbers in them.
Clear them out, and then go to y equals 3 to the x.
Where's the graph sign?
The up arrow, no, listen, slow down. Just type in y equals 3 to the x, and then hold 1 minute. Everybody got it in there? Go to table.
What?
Go to table. Second graph. When you go to table, doesn't it have the point 0, 1, and 2, 9 in there? Does everybody see it?
Yeah.
See how, now there's a lot of other points, but does everybody see how, hey, quiet. Does everybody see how in the table the points are there already? So old-fashioned, bald-headed people like me used to have to figure out the points. You don't. You just go to your table. Put the function in, go to your table, here's the points. 9 minus 1, 2 minus 0. Done. Okay? So you can always just use the calculator to find the points. And then once you find the points on the table, you then use the formula y sub 2, or y from the second point minus y from the first point. Caleb?
Is there any other points you could use besides those? Or do you have
No, because it's not linear. With linear, there's a constant rate of change. With a quadratic, there's a variable rate of change, and there's a key word that lets you know do not use other points. The key word in the question was find the average rate of change. Okay? The average will be different depending on how many numbers you use. Yes?
So I think I'm confused where it has like the brackets and the 0 2 in it, the interval.
Right.
'Cause I just assumed that it was like one of them was x,
Like
and
X,
one was
Y. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people did. Yeah, but understand bracket notation, and I think it might have even said in the question over the interval, and then put 0 2.
Okay.
Yes?
How do you know which points to pick?
When it says the interval is 0 to 2, that means you pick where x is 0 and where x is 2. Okay? Does that make sense? Yes?
How'd you get the 9?
Well, if I wanted a computer, I plug in a 2, 3 squared is 9. Or you look in the calculator and you say on the table, it would be 0, 1, 1, 3, 2, 9, 3, 27. And then I'm going to use, since it says the interval from 0 to 2, I'm going to use the interval where x is 0 and where x is 2. And those are my coordinates to use. Yes?
How'd you get the 1? Did you plug the 0?
You mean what I wrote there?
Yeah.
I just did it in my head. I plugged a 1 in for x, 3 to the 1 is 3. Okay, but I didn't need that one. I only needed the 0 and the 2, because when I'm finding the rate of change over the interval, I do beginning and end.
Okay, but when you did 0 1, how do you know when I had to?
Oh, well, your calculator does it for you. So I just know when I see the interval from 0 to 2, I go look for where x is 0, and you can literally, on your paper, just write 0, 1. And I go for where x is 2, there it is, 2, 9. Just write them on your paper, and then do the formula. Done. Okay? Any questions? Okay, number 4. I think just about everybody got number 10, or got the answer of 10 for number 4, right? The only thing to be careful to remember on number 4 that some kids will mess up, but again, just about everybody got this right, if not everybody. I want to find out what f of 3 is. You must remember, by the way, 2 things. First off, if you really want to know what this is, you could go to y equals, and you could type this into y equals, and then you could go to table and look up where x is 3. And it'll tell you the value right on for the y. You could do that. Or you could type it into the calculator. But what I would hope you could do as time goes on is this. You understand that this means square it, then negate it. So if I square 3, then negate it, I get negative 9. And then I do 4 times 3 is plus 12, plus 7. 12 and 7 is 19. 19 and negative 9 there. 10. Okay? All right. So let's take a look now at today's doing. And you should study up on your, you should make it a point to study up on your quiz answers and results for tomorrow to make sure that you're in pretty good shape for it. Okay, I'm just going to give you the answers to these very quickly. Let's see here. This is going to be negative 27 for number 1. Number 2 is going to be 114. Number 3, explain why it's 3 to the 0. Or what the value is 1, okay? And if I just did an example of 3 to the 4th over 3 to the 4th, anything divided by itself is 1, and then if I subtract exponents on this side, I get 3 to the 0. I am not going to test you on that, but I did mention it yesterday, so I wanted to come back to it today. This is a 1. Does that look like a 0? It's a 1. Okay.
No.
Any questions on those 3?
No.
All right, those are what I would call pretty, well, the first 2 are pretty fundamental. The third one is something you don't need to know how to prove, but I wanted to make sure that you've seen it a couple of times, because I don't like when kids think that math is a bunch of rules and gimmicks. I like kids to know that math makes sense. All right, here's a really important question, phenomenally important question. I need an honest show of hands right now. How many people, when they looked at this question, had no idea what to do? Okay, now, I just talked to you guys a minute ago about rate of change, right? I talked to you a minute ago about rate of change, didn't I? Mm-hmm. And I said that you gotta find the coordinates, and then once you find the coordinates, you use the formula, y from the second point minus y from the first over x from the second minus x from the first. I'm gonna give you 90 seconds to start working this. Even if you can only do the table part, or you could only do the graph part. Like Anthony gave you a great way to do the graph before. He said he finds the first point, he finds the last point, and then he does the calculation. Maybe you can do this one. I'm going to give you 90 seconds to get as far into this as you can, and then I'll put it on the board in just a minute. This is an extremely important question. On every single Regents exam, they will ask a question about average rate of change.
What are we looking for, the rate of change?
Average rate of change for all 3, and then it says list them from greatest to least.
Oh.
Wait, is it x2 minus x1 over y2 over y1? It's y2 over y1.
What?
Subtract the y's over subtract the x's. Do you remember the expression rise over run?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Rise is which one?
The y.
about another 20 seconds. Okay, so, let's do the table first, because the table's like the one we just did a minute ago. It says here, given the functions, f, g, and h. The first thing I want you to notice is just how sneaky and deceitful they are. They put the g before the f. So that might affect how you put your answer. Like, to me, it would naturally go f, g, h, right? You know, that's just how you do everything your whole life. And here they are switching the order. So this is a good example of how the state tries to mess with your head on the Regents exam. Something like that can cause you to get no points on a question, even though you know how to do all the math. It wants over the interval from 0 to 3. When I write the interval, I can use this inequality notation, or I could have written it like this. You should remember that that means the same exact thing, okay? So it wants the interval from 0 to 3. So there's 1 point, there's the other point. And if I do the formula, it's y from the second minus y from the first over x from the second minus x from the first, which in this case would be the y minus the y, 7 minus 1, over the x minus the x, 3 minus 0. Must make sure you go in the same direction. The whole purpose between the 2's and the 1's is to make sure you don't switch the way you're going in the middle. If I do 7 minus 1, I have to make sure I do 3 minus 0. If I do 7 minus 1 and then 0 minus 3, I'll get the negative of the answer every single time. So 7 minus 1 is 6, 3 minus 0 is 3, and the bottom line is that that answer is 2, or 2 over 1. Okay? Any questions about that one? Next. Now, it gives me this. So I can do two things. I can plug them in and compute, or I can put it into y equals x squared minus 2x in my calculator. God bless. And then I can just look at the piece of table, just like I looked at this table. So if this table was easy for you, put it into the calculator, find the table, and do the same thing again. If it was not easy for you, when I plug in a 0, I get 0 squared minus 2 times 0, which is 0. And then if I plug in a 3, I'm going to get 3 squared is 9, minus 2 times 3 is 6. So, let's see here. It shouldn't be 9 comma 6, I'm sorry, it should be 3 comma 6. 6 minus 0 over 3 minus 0, which is 6 over 3, which is 2. All right? Let me just make sure I did that right in my head. 0, 0, yep. And if I plug in a 3, I get 9 minus that. Oh, look at that. 9 minus 6 is 3. Sloppy mistake. So 6 minus 3 is 3, and 3 over 3 is 1. Sorry about that. A little sloppy mistake.
What would you use in the calculator if you did?
You would just type in, instead of g of x equals, you type in y equals. It's the same exact thing. And then just type in x squared minus 2 times x.
But when you get the table, what do you do?
Then you look for where the x is 0 and where the x is 3, and you use those points. And you'll see it says 0, 0, and 3, 3. Okay? Yes?
On the table, how come you use like the first one and the last one?
Because it says here the interval from 0 to 3. And that's, all. See how it says x in the middle? X, 0, 3.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Next, take a look over here. Well, this is where x is 0, so I'm going to mark this coordinate. It helps sometimes to write this. 0, 2. And then this coordinate up here is 3, 9. And now I do the same exact formula to these 2 points. 9 minus 2 over 3 minus 0. 9 minus 2 is 7, 3 minus 0 is 3. The only thing I really care about here, because all they want me to do is write them in order from greatest to least, 7 divided by 3 is bigger than 2. It happens to be 2 1/3 or 2.3 repeating. But the biggest thing is it's bigger than 2. So this is going to be biggest, h of x. F of x is going to be the middle, and g of x is going to be the small. So it's HFG, HFG, choice 4. Okay?
Wait, this 4.
Isn't it 3? Because gx is the smallest.
It says greatest to least. That's another way they mess with you, right? Wouldn't you expect it to be least to greatest?
Right.
I got it right, but it didn't.
Exactly. And listen, guys, if you've heard me the last couple of days, have you heard me say that what they do is the devil is in the details, right? That's horrible that they would do that, but you could know how to do the question and not get it right, not because of the math, but because you casually read least to greatest rather than greatest to least. So we have to be really, really aware. God bless. You need to be really aware of, bless you, details. Okay, so let's take a look at this question together. The graphs below represent the functions defined by polynomials. What kind of functions are they?
Quadratic.
Quadratic, nicely done. Which one has zeros of 2 and negative 3? Which one of those has zeros of 2 and negative 3?
What?
Which graph, there's 4 graphs there, have zeros of 2 and negative 3? We've got a pretty good number of hands popping up here. I think perhaps Miss Lucero might make fun of my lack of hair if she doesn't get a chance to answer this one. Which one is it? Yes, it is choice 3. Very good. The zeros, here's the key word here, ready? The zeros are wherever it crosses the axis. So what's the x value there? 2. What's the x value there? Negative 3. So choice 3 is that. Now, let me ask you a question. Is that easy or what?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, it's very easy. You will have a question like that on your test. All right, now, let's see who's thinking here. Let's see who's thinking. For which function are the zeros, negative 4 and negative 6? Tell me how to do this.
Oh. Type it in your calculator.
Bingo!
That's what I would do.
Type the choices one by one into your calculator. Find which one
Oh,
crosses at
according-
negative 4 and negative 6.
We do them each individual.
Yes, because otherwise you might get confused in terms of which is which. You look where it crosses the x-axis. You can also look in the table and see where the y's are 0 and then the corresponding x values. Does this mean Chloe thinks she nailed it?
No. See, when I type it in my calculator, it says error.
Yes, sir. All right. There's a quick way to always fix your calculator. You can go what we call second mem 712. And now it's ready to go. That clears everything in there.
Wait, Mr. Lucas, we're looking for when x is 0, it lines up with 4 and 6?
Negative 4 and negative 6.
Yeah.
Where it crosses. You want it where it crosses the x-axis at negative 4 and negative 6.
How would I find that on the table?
You look for where y equals 0. And then you look at the x values associated with when y equals 0. Miss Mantione,
Oh,
I got 2.
Yeah.
you got it right. Very good. Okay. Listen, the next question was a lot like the question we've been doing on the quiz a bunch lately with the graphs, except it's with a little bit of a snowstorm instead of wrapping presents. So you should be able to do that. Do a great job preparing tonight, right? We're looking at that test on Wednesday. We want to kick butt on that test. But we need to prepare, and preparation starts now. Hasta la vista, vaya con Dios, toodaloo, ta-ta, arrivederci, smile a lot, ciao. Zane, adios, amigos y amigas. Cheerio, hasta la bye-bye, hasta lasagna, and garushurus, kotafes.